The shape of the coronavirus spike protein before the virus meets our cells is what triggers the most protective antibody response. So Keith must make the spike protein in the lab, locking it into exactly the same shape by adding another protein that acts a bit like a clamp. And that protein is a tiny fragment of HIV.
More and more people are testing positive for HIV after getting the vaccine. And that's because the vaccine has HIV. And so it's only logical that the vaccine manufacturers would be rolling out HIV medication camouflaged as COVID pills. Not only that, but researchers are warning that the vaccine could increase your risk of HIV infection. So they're trying to make people think that they're catching HIV by natural means, but that it's not the vaccines that's giving people HIV. Not that long ago, the government of Australia abandoned the homegrown COVID vaccine because of false HIV positives. You think they're going to abandon a vaccine because of a false positive on a test? They were using PCR tests for 2 years that were giving nothing but false positives. These rapid tests do nothing but give people false positives. They're not stopping the use of those tests because of the false positives. And so they're not going to stop using a vaccine because of false positives. But they would, perhaps, in some places, not use a vaccine if it was actually causing AIDS. But, of course, Pfizer and company aren't doing that. The vaccine is wiping out people's immune system. They admit it. They call it negative efficacy, even vaccine-enhanced disease. But essentially, the vaccinated are suffering from some type of autoimmune disease.
הרוב הכמעט מוחלט של הנפטרים הם אנשים מחוסנים שכנראה עברו שחיקה חיסונית.
Immune erosion. Looks like the video guys on vacation. Not getting any help from the video guy today. But the vaccinated are dying from immune erosion, immune suppression, immune deficiency, autoimmune disease. So many terms to confuse you with. It's like the heart attacks. Everything is causing heart attacks except the vaccine. It's like shaking the duvet now. Waking up too early. Cold weather, the heating bill, stress at work, anything and everything is causing the heart attacks except the vaccines. But we have all of this and more with the HIV drugs, increased rate of HIV, new HIV strain detected, HIV everywhere. And people are complaining online, testing for HIV after getting vaccinated. Now, of course, they pulled the test because people were getting an HIV positive response. These HIV tests work with antibodies, so the body is making antibodies for HIV. Where is the HIV coming from? The vaccine. It's in the vaccine. They put the HIV in the vaccine. People are testing positive for HIV. Their immune systems are wiped out. They're rolling out HIV drugs rebranded for COVID. And they want everybody to think that it's naturally occurring. After 40 years, it's just suddenly mutated into something much more aggressive. Government data from Australia, the US, Canada, Scotland, and England suggests that people that have received at least 2 shots are now showing signs of serious immune system degradation. Israel as well. Immune erosion, immune deficiency, autoimmune disease, problem with the immune system, negative efficacy. That's the best way to rebrand it. That's the best way to minimize it. It's just negative efficacy. So if a vaccine is supposed to protect you and it's supposed to be 100%, and all of a sudden now it's negative 100%, what happened? What happened? How did you get there? Pfizer, Merck, rolling out HIV medication camouflaged as COVID medication. They're like, oh, it's 89% effective. It reduces your AIDS by 89%. You're almost normal, as if you never took the vaccine, they say. Of course, we'll find out that it doesn't really work out that way. This HIV medication is, in fact, a protease inhibitor. Video guys, totally on vacation. Can somebody fire the video guy? Please. Just fire the video guy. So a protease inhibitor is essentially trying to prevent the replication of a virus or a protein by messing up the copy and paste process, causing errors. Unfortunately, this leads to not only mutations in the virus, but also mutations in the genome. They cause cancer. Protease inhibitors are strongly linked to cancer because it messes up the transcription process or the copy and paste process of DNA. And so it may work on viruses, but it works on the human cell as well. Has the third COVID jab landed hundreds of vulnerable Britons in intensive care? Unusually high admissions of patients with weakened immune systems, blamed on the botched booster rollout. And so you're seeing it everywhere in the news. They don't want to connect the dots. It's like the heart attacks. They don't want to admit that it's the vaccine, so it's everything else. It's the bacon, it's the cold weather, it's the heating bill, it's the drama, it's anything and everything but the vaccine, because the news is brought to you by Pfizer. But these are major problems, and this is why censorship is twice as criminal as ever before, because we're talking about a public health emergency. Now they're reporting there's a new highly virulent strain of HIV all of a sudden, just mutated, wiping out everybody's immune system. And since everybody's vaccinated, nobody's going to think it's the vaccines. Couldn't be that. Except that there's a bunch of unvaccinated people out there that don't have the VAIDS yet. And so the numbers are still baffling.